Hey there, Alex Kibben here. Today, taking a look at this. It's the cracked, that's CRKD Nitro Deck, a Switch or Switch OLED game controller that's meant to be an alternative for Nintendo's Joy-Cons. Now, if you're a Switch owner like I am, you're probably aware that one of the best things about the Switch is that it's eminently portable because you can take it out of its dock and with a couple of Joy-Cons play anything. If you're a Switch owner like me, you're also probably aware that the Joy-Cons are generally awful. They break way too easily, they drift way too easily, they were built for people with tiny, tiny, tiny hands. There's many problems. And the Nitro Deck is the latest in a long line of products, because there's many competitors to this thing that wants to solve that. So at the front here, this is the purple model. This is a limited edition model, and I'll get into why that's a bit stupid later. But this is the purple model. There's also a limited edition green, and here in Australia, a black and white model. The black and white will run you $99. The limited edition purple and green are $149. But with those, you also get a very nice carry case. I rather like that thing. A USB cable and a couple of extra thumbstick toppers. Now, the big thing about the thumbsticks on these is that they're Hall effect thumbsticks, so considerably more durable than Joy-Cons. That's a really good thing, really big plus. And look, this isn't going to do a whole lot without a Switch in it. And luckily enough, oh look, here's one. So the Switch or Switch OLED, it fits either because they're the same size, just slots straight in there. You probably heard that click. Now that has clicked really solidly in place. Now if I flick this over, you'll be able to see there's a little latch here, and that's actually the removal thing. I quite like this. It's very, very secure, but it's also really nice and easy to just click in and click out. That all works rather well. You also get this stand at the back here. That's okay or mediocre, depending on the Switch you've got. If you've got the regular OG Switch, then this is a better stand, I would say, than the original one. It's thicker plastic, it's a bit wider, I think. If you've got the Switch OLED, of course, it's nowhere near as wide, not quite as good. But really, this is a device built for handheld. You also get buttons at the back here, and they are programmable, so you can set them to be whatever you like. I'm not a big fan of that concept. I don't love it that much, but if you hold this down for about 7 or so seconds until it vibrates, it stops being a problem because these get disabled. Little tip there. So let's flick it over and get it started. And we are going to load the eShop. No, we're not. I didn't want to load the eShop. We're going to load some EDF because I rather like EDF. Now, look, in most respects, this acts as a standard controller. Standard buttons at the top, standard buttons at the side, and sticks. There's a couple of caveats to that, though. So in order to actually get this working in the first place, the one thing you must do is enable here Pro Controller, wired communication. If that is off, then this will be off. This will not work. Simple enough step, but there's a couple of considerations there. Firstly, like an awful lot of these third-party controllers, there's no support for NFC, which means there's no support for Amiibo if that's your thing with the Switch. Also, because this is basically pretending to be a Pro controller, it means that some games, most notably Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pokemon Let's Go Yellow Rat, will not work. It just won't recognize it as a controller. That's a limitation of the game, though, not this particular controller, because it's basically pretending to be a Pro controller. Those games don't support the Pro controller either. So what about actual in-game action? Well, here, I really like what it does. I think it actually works quite well. It's quite comfortable. It's nice and responsive, with a couple of little caveats. And probably the big one I think most people are going to hit is this thumbstick here, the right one, because it's a bit lower than on many competing devices. And for some people, that is definitely going to be a problem, reaching over it or bumping into it or what have you. Now, I don't think it's a problem. I actually don't mind it. I'm able to play games, as you can see here. I can map around, I can move around, I can shoot, I can do whatever I want. Obviously, I'm filming myself, so I'm playing like garbage because I'm not really concentrating on what I'm doing. But it all works. There's nothing wrong with it. It feels robust, and I quite like it. That being said, if you've got the opportunity for some hands-on time with this, that'd be a really, really smart move. You do get, as you can hear, vibration support, so that's fine. Everything else just kind of works as though it was a regular Switch with a regular controller attached. One little note on the back here, because we have input and output USB-C sockets. Now, the input is pretty easy. That's for power. So you can charge your Switch while you're playing, and it's high enough up that, yes, you can sit there with a cable plugged in if you need to. Important thing here, though, is if you've been using devices that have USB-C dongles, so I've got a set of Bluetooth headphones that also have a USB-C receiver on them, those don't work, unfortunately. That's a little bit annoying. And then you've got output, and that might make you think, well, hang on, does this work like a full-on dock? Like, can I just plug this straight into my TV? The answer is no. Unfortunately, they'd probably have to charge a little bit more for that, I suspect, just to integrate all the electronics you'd need. No, the output here is actually so you can use the Nitro Deck just as a standalone controller, like without the Switch in it at all. It's a weird little choice, really. And look, it works. I've functionally tested it. It's fine. But it feels a little odd and a little empty and hollow if you play that way. I suppose if you were desperate for another controller and you needed one in a pinch, yeah, it'll get the job done, but it's not exactly a killer feature. So, should you buy the Nitro Deck? Look, I think it's a decent thing in a field with plenty of alternative options. I think you do need to weigh up whether or not this larger form factor is right for you. If you can go hands-on and work out whether or not that thumb pad's going to be an issue for you. I've had some family members say they really don't mind it. I've had others say, no, they really hate it. So clearly there's a bit of a Vegemite thing going on here. But beyond those, no, this is a nice device. It plays well. I really rather like it, and I can see myself using it, especially when I'm traveling, because this plus its carry case works really well indeed. Anyway, that's my take on the Nitro Deck. What do you think? What do you want to know? Got any thoughts? Do you have one of these yourself and have an opinion on it? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe.